Hey, what up, guys?
Oh, shaka chaka on me. Ow! And I'm on phone. Ow! And then I'm on phone.
Hey, it's been a minute. I'm so out of breath. Why do I do Michael Jackson intros? We're back though. Yay, YouTube. We're back. That thing I used to do. Yay. So, for those of you who don't know, last year I did this awesome video, 2023 favorite indie songs top 10 list. Go check it out. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever done on this channel. But yeah, I thought it was such a success the first time, so why not run it back again? And that's what today is. We're doing a top 10 indie songs of 2024 list, but before we get into it, let's talk about the term indie again, because yeah, I think it's pretty important. So indie used to mean independent, right? Like this is what I do now. I am very much an indie artist. I'm not on a label. I just make music. I have like 2 monthly listeners. Go check out my stuff. But now with streaming more than anything, anybody can become famous. So rather than a process, I feel like indie now describes a sound. Take an artist like Gorillaz, for instance. Like they're one of the biggest artists on the planet, and that alternative edge to them makes them more of an indie band in my eyes. So yeah, there's gonna be some bigger artists on this list, some smaller artists on this list. The idea is I'm trying to give you just some broad music recommendations for this year. And who knows, maybe you'll wind up liking one or two of these. We'll see.
Today we're counting down the top 10 indie songs of 2024.
Let's kick things off with number 10. Alrighty, this is Toronto indie band The High Loves. I've actually met these guys a couple of times before, and they're cool. They gave me this shirt. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. So anyway, enough about that. Yeah, these guys are great. They have like 7K monthly listeners on Spotify, super underrated. And this song, Stereo Now, was my favorite of theirs this year.
Yeah, I'm a stereo now. Yeah, I'm a stereo now.
What I love about this song and what makes it such a great number 10 pick is that it's both familiar and unique. Which I get that they're kind of different, but let me explain. So it's familiar in the sense that they wear their influences on their sleeve. Like you can hear a lot of old influences here, like old Beatles songs in terms of, the song structure, or the fuzzy energy feels like an ELO song. Or if you want something more modern, the whistling, the lyrics, the vibe, it feels like something Fits in the Tantrums would even do. So yeah, there's a healthy mix there, and that feeds into the unique part of it. It's like they're not bound into any one of these boxes, and instead these things and influences and pieces coexist in a way that just works. It feels refreshing. Yeah, it's just a really fun, short burst of energy. It's a bouncy song, it's light, it's inoffensive. It's kind of the perfect number 10 pick. And yeah, that's it for my number 10 pick on this list. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9. So in 2002 I was born, flash forward a couple years to like 2009 or 2010, and I received an iPod Nano, which I later upgraded to an iPod Touch. Now for most of my life, probably until 2014 or 2015, my concept of music and my music listening taste kind of came from whatever my shared family iTunes account had to offer. So you can imagine what that looks like. It would be like Swedish House Mafia next to U2, next to, like it was just a terrible mix, right? Like just bad. But then everything changed when I reached high school, I got my first phone, and I discovered SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, all of these apps that recommend new artists. And at that point, I mean, Pandora's box was wide open. Nick, what was the point of that intro? Yeah, it was a bit of a weird intro, but I will say I discovered this guy, Poom Viperit, kind of at that time when I got my phone, like when discovering new artists was both new and exciting. Yeah, since 2018 or 2019, I've had his stuff just consistently in my rotation. It is that good. Speaking of this whole timeline, actually, this came at a really interesting time for me, this song specifically, because just a few years prior, one of my favorite artists of all time, Daft Punk, they broke up for good. We were sort of holding out hope since the last album, Random Access Memories in 2013, that maybe they would put out something new. But nope, in 2021, they were like, it's done. We're broken up. So yeah, I had this like French helmet robot shaped void in my music listening, and I wanted to fill that. Actually, Justice put out a new album this year, and they're a French EDM duo from the 2000s. Like, that is about as Daft Punk as it gets. Surely they could do it. But no, I feel like that record was kind of its own thing. Like, Justice was always sort of a different thing to me than Daft Punk. And wouldn't you know it, this guy who dresses up like a sloth, weirdly enough, it's kind of odd actually, I don't know if I like that stuff, but like, he was the guy to fill that void.
Welcome to the other side. Here we practice forgiveness and forgetfulness, I suppose.
So I don't blame you if you think this doesn't sound like Daft Punk. After all, it sounds a lot softer than most of Daft Punk's stuff. But structurally, and I want to hit this on the head, this sounds exactly like the song Crescent Dolls from Daft Punk's Discovery album. Yeah, something about those gang vocals, the fact that there's no proper verses really, the fun energy to it, the dance groove, like, it is taken from that time, but it also reimagines it in kind of a new way. And actually, my favorite Daft Punk album isn't Discovery, it is Random Access Memories. So, like, to have a song that has the structure of Discovery, but the instruments of Ram, like, it's a dream come true. It's great. Oh, and one more thing I'll mention before we move on is that all the phrases in the song are Thai, and they mean various versions of, like, chill out, everything's gonna be fine, life is good, things like that. And in a year where a lot of people didn't feel those things, I think it's nice to have that reminder. So yeah, that's my number 9 pick. A very good song, very underrated. Go check it out. It's good.
Chill, 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 chill.
Number 8. Okay, hold up. One sec. Okay. What if Gretchen from Recess had a pop punk song? You clicked on the video, not me, so... Okay, obviously I'm joking, the song has nothing to do with Recess, though I wish it did. But yeah, the point still stands that this song kicks ass in the same way that 2000s cartoons did. For those who don't know, this is South Arcade, a band I found on TikTok a while back, and it finally feels like, for once, TikTok picked the right artist, like the right person got famous. Yeah, this isn't your traditional short-form content band. Like, these guys, they have a good sound. It's heavier than a lot of TikTok stuff. It's good. And I'm not going to make any more Gretchen comparisons, but the singer, she fucking rocks. And as well, the genre they're operating within is kind of a tough one to do well at. Like, a lot of the pop-punk revival stuff from the last couple years has felt very forced. Yeah, like, a lot of that stuff feels like an impression or an attempt at pop-punk, whereas this feels like a couple of snowboarders in a room, and they're all playing SSX Tricky, and then one of them says, "Hey man, maybe we should put these controllers down and do something, man." I mean that in a good way. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. The vibe is there, the energy is there, and you know what? For that, I'm on board. Literally. Number 7. Okay, so there's no way to get around this one. This was my top song on Spotify Wrapped this year. Just roll it. Just roll it.
I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me. I can tell it this. Not trying to be romantic. I hit it from the back just so you don't get attached.
I've seen really mixed feelings on this song, and that's why I didn't know where to rank it on the list. On the one hand, it was one of my favorite tracks of the entire year, but then the more I listened to it, it got kind of grating on me. So that's why I thought number 7 was kind of a good pick. And to that point, I'm going to give you a case for and against this song, and I'll let you make your own opinion on it. So yeah, let's get into it. So let's start with the good. I Like the Way You Kiss Me by Artemis. This is one of the best choruses of the year. Hands down.
I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me. I can tell it this.
Something about that high-pitched vocal with this bass-driven thumping instrumental, like, it's just such a neat contrast. It's very cool. And yeah, it's the same reason why I love that Roses song from Quarantine as well. It's so catchy, it's captivating, it's simple yet effective. And I'd be lying if I said the first time I listened to this, I didn't listen to it like 10 times in a row. I did, because I was trying to figure out, like, what were they putting into this song to make it so catchy? And that's where the good kind of ends. Like, in full transparency, this was my number 2 pick on this list for most of the year. But then as the year dragged on, something about the lyrical content started to get to me to the point where I was like, I can't put it that high. It's gotta come down a peg. In particular, the guy that sings this song, Artemis, you can tell just by the lyrics that he thinks he's the coolest guy in this world, and it's to like a douchey degree. It's so annoying.
Don't you wanna make me proud? 'Cause I'm so proud. Baby, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, babe, like, if you sleep with me, then I'll be really proud of you. It's like if vaping was a person. It's just bad. And I understand the irony in that, seeing as we have the same haircut. I don't want to see those comments, but I don't think I'm alone in thinking that, because if you go to his Spotify, this one song has 1 billion streams in less than a year, which is insane. But then after that, all of the streams exponentially drop off a cliff. That's it. So it's like all of these people also felt that, yeah, we don't need to hear anything else that this guy has to say. We got the one hit and we left. That's it. It's exactly the same as my last year's Oliver Tree pick. Like, this is a very good song from an artist that otherwise I would never want to listen to. And so we have to take that into account. The reason why it's still on this list, though, is because it is that much of a banger. Again, this was my top song on Spotify Wrapped for a reason. It's that much of an earworm. But yeah, it's just not as good as it used to be. It's still great, so that's why it's on the list. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. I'm curious about that one. But yeah, let's move on.
I like the way.
Number 6.
Okay, well, that was kind of intense. Sorry about that. Why don't we brighten things up a bit, shall we?
John Cena the way I'm been chillin'. Bitch can't rap, it's best you stay hidden. We off the ice, vanilla, I stay with it. Talk your shit, we get it, you don't get it.
Okay, this was a no-brainer. Literally, it feels like it took no brain cells for me to get this. It was that easy. This is Joey Valence and Bray, two guys that absolutely exploded this year with the release of their No Hands album. It's fantastic. Go check it out.
To the scene, I am so fresh and so clean. I am bitch like what you mean.
But I'm worried about them a bit because their legacy, kind of like Greta Van Fleet, is forever associated with an older group. In the case of Greta Van Fleet, they were criticized for copying Led Zeppelin. In the case of these guys, Beastie Boys. And I've said this before on this channel, I'll say it again, I will die on this hill. So long as the music is good, and in this case it is, it shouldn't matter whether or not they like sample from an older artist or take from or borrow from something older. It's fine, who cares? It's not like the song is reinventing the canon of popular music. It's not really profound by any means. It's just fun. It's here for a good time and not a long time.
Caught me hunt so low, I don't miss. Get down, we going wild with the night.
And while we're on the topic of it, fuck it. I actually prefer Joey Valence and Bray over Beastie Boys. So there. Yeah, I said it. I'm a white boy with an opinion. What do you, I bet you never seen that before. I'm just gonna put this down. I think that was a lot. Let's talk about the song itself. John Cena. It's fun. It's great. It's kind of like Beastie Boys, but it has a more modern twist. Take the instrumental, for instance. It sounds like something out of Splatoon. Like, Beastie Boys were never doing that. That, plus all the anime voiceover ad-libs and just like weird internet culture references, it's very much of this time, and I'm here for it. So I'll leave it there. Why not? If you want to dance and want to laugh along the way, go check out this album. The variety is kind of insane on it. There's a hip house track, there's the Beastie Boys-esque stuff, there's stuff that sounds like Diggable Planets, like more boom bap leaning. It's great. So yeah, check it out if you're interested, and yeah, let's go to the next one.
Number 5.
Well, my friends, this is the portion of the video where the concept of indie sort of falls apart a little bit. If you're talking about music this year, you have to mention the 3 Powerpuff Girls, I'll call them, Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, and Charlie XCX. It was insane to watch. In just 1 year, these 3 girls not only became mainstream artists, but became the mainstream. Their 3 albums, Short and Sweet, Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and Brat, that was the mainstream. So Nick, if they're mainstream artists, why talk about them on an indie list? Well, I think we need to consider the rate at which they became big. For several years, if not decades, all 3 of these girls had been brewing at this like C-list, D-list, E-list celebrity status, and only this year did their following just like shoot up to the moon. So with that, although they're like completely mainstream artists now, they don't feel like celebrities in the same way that a Kendrick Lamar does or a Dwayne The Rock Johnson does. You know what I mean? And that's cool. It has an indie spirit to it. It feels like they got lucky one day and they just caught their big break. That's sick. So let's get into the songs. What I'm going to do, rather than just one song for this number 5 pick, I'm going to pick my favorite song from each of them and go over why that is. So let's do it.
I know you want my touch for life. If you love me right, then who knows?
Juno is the sleeper hit from Sabrina Carpenter's new album, and just like the album's title, I'll try to keep this segment short and sweet. Sounded better in my head. Let's talk about her other hits this year as well. Espresso, Please Please Please, and Taste. These songs to me, they were cool, they were a moment, but not nearly as interesting or good as Juno.
Don't have to tell your heart as a thing. Oh yeah, you just get it.
And I think a lot of that comes down to the sense of humor of these songs. Like, I find those other 3 hits have this very Deadpool sense of humor where maybe this comes off as harsh, but like, you know, in Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds has to explain jokes to you. Like, I feel stupid watching Deadpool because it's like, I'm not in on the joke, I'm being told to laugh at a certain point. On the other hand, though, we have Juno, and that feels a lot more like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where it's winking at you. You're a part of the joke rather than being told a joke, if that makes sense. There's a difference there. And so Juno's just a really charming song. It feels like Sabrina Carpenter's hitting on you, right? Like, it's really poppy, it's catchy, it has one of the most viral moments of the year in the form of her, like, Juno poses at the concert. Maybe I should censor that. But yeah, it's my favorite Sabrina Carpenter song. Frankly, I don't know if she'll ever be able to top it. We'll just have to see. So yeah, on to the next one.
You make me wanna make you fall in love. Baby, cause I'm the boys and boys. Shoot another shot to stop the feeling.
Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan is my favorite song of the year. Yep. This song is fantastic. If you haven't heard it, go in blind. Frankly, pause this video, go listen to it, and come back. Yeah, I love this because it's timeless in the same way that the Troye Sivan song from last year was too, right? I feel like I've known this song for 40 years, and yet something about the narrative here, the vocal delivery, it's so unique that it feels like only Chapel Roan could have written and recorded it.
Then guess I'm the fool with their arms out like an angel through the car sunroof.
That said, though, I can't help but look at the success of Chapel Roan this year and wonder what's going to happen in her future. There's been a lot of headlines with her this year, like openly criticizing her fans, canceling shows for mental health breaks, things like that, where, you know, for someone who has all this new success, it's not exactly the most traditional route she could take. So the question still remains, if in 2025 and onward she decides to release new music or just keep performing, is she ever going to top the commercial peak that she saw with Good Luck Babe? I don't know.
Oh, you know I hate to say, but I told you so.
I'm a big fan of her stuff, so I would love to see it continue to grow, but I wouldn't be shocked by either answer. So I don't think we should cry because it's potentially over. We should smile because it happened. That's it.
You have to stop the world just to stop the feeling. I look perfect for the background. I get nervous, sip the wine. I go so cold.
Hey, Sicky Nuts view. This is so stupid. I just came to steal Nicholas's Switch so I could play Smash Bros. Wi-Fi because I don't want to renew my subscription. One more. I made this billboard. Right
We'll
here.
put it on the...
I was the strategist behind this. It won a couple awards, so I love Brat.
He was Brat.
Couldn't name you more than 3 songs on the album, but I am Brat.
Also, we're not kidding. He did do that.
I literally did. I'm not joking.
Yeah! Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I didn't really like Brat all that much, I'll be honest. Yeah, no? Okay, wow. Okay, shit. I'll try again. Sorry, let me go. Let's try that again. Okay. Brat was pretty good. It was cool. There were some good songs on it. I just don't really like Charlie herself. Nope, still no. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, sorry. Okay, I think I got it this time. So, Brat was cool. There's some good songs I like on there. With Charlie specifically, though, because I'm not like the Brat potty girl, I find I have a hard time connecting to her as a celebrity. We passed. Yay! We did it. Yeah, I understand I'm not in the target demographic. It's Brat. It's like you're supposed to be her to get it, right? But still, she's had a decade worth of hits before this, and every single time I've never known anything about her beyond the fact that she likes to party. Like, what else is there to her as a person? And the reason why I picked this one little piano ballad off of this otherwise really loud and dancey pop album is because of that. It gives us that opportunity to learn about her as a person.
I might say something stupid. Talk to myself in the mirror.
Let's think about it for a minute, right? Because Brat is a lot about drinking, it's about doing drugs, it's about being at the party, being a party girl for 365 days of the year, love. And that's awesome, but everybody knows that if you get too drunk on a night out, there's always that one point in the night where you're cold and alone and outside and waiting for an Uber, and like all of these negative thoughts and your life experiences start flooding through your head. That is the most important point of the night, honestly, it is. What makes Brat Brat is that it's not about partying because it's fun, although it's listened to in that context, but no, it's about partying because you're running away from being anxious. You're running away from life being hard. And this is the point in the album where all of that comes crumbling down, even if it's just for 1 minute. The walls start to fall, the curtains start to pull back. You get to see a bit of that.
Used to live just for the party, door is open.
And I just think that's so cool. I love this song. I love all three of those songs. And yeah, let's go on with the rest of the list.
And I don't know if I belong here anymore.
Number 4.
So a big milestone for me this year was that I graduated from film school. It was my undergrad at university. Check it out. I'm making the walk at graduation. Oh, that's sweet. For as exciting as this time was, though, it also was kind of awkward and rushed. And I blame COVID for a lot of that. Like, COVID really messed up the way my university experience unfolded. COVID hit right at the end of high school for me, so I didn't have a graduation, no prom, no hanging out with friends in the last 3 months of school, no summer before university. When I got to university, no in-person classes, no in-person hanging out. Like, it was just a nightmare. It was bad. So anyway, by the time I graduated, all these thoughts are going through my head of like, what could have been? How could things have been done differently? This idea of missed connections or new connections. And it just so happens that right on cue, one of my favorite bands of all time decided to not only make a song on that very topic, but it's also one of the best songs they've ever put out.
I wanna meet you at a slow dance. I wanna meet you, but it's too soon. I wanna meet you, but I can't speak. Or I dare to cross the room.
This is Toronto indie pop punk band Good Kid, and these guys are great. They were my top artist on Spotify Wrapped, so that's gotta be worth something. If you remember back to last year's video, I put them at my number 3 spot. Not much has changed here, like despite having such a consistent and refined sound, none of their stuff ever got stale, which I think is really cool.
I met you in the yellow light of a sign that bore your name.
And to that point, what I love about this song, Dance Class specifically, is that it's a slower version of their songs, but it's still Good Kid. It's still got a pulse to it. It's still guitar driven. It's still the same stuff you know and love, just with a more mature feel.
Struck by your impression, like all of those next to you, but I will try to stand.
Yeah, I don't want to say this song is more thoughtful than their other ones, because all of their songs have care put into them, but I do appreciate the change of pace that this song offers. Like the themes here of coincidence and new relationships and hesitation, that's very different to some of their other stuff, which is just about like, hey, let's fly through space for 2.5 minutes. And maybe I'm a bit biased in saying that, after all the context in which I heard this for the first time was very important, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is, in my opinion, one of their best. Every time they make a new song, it's better than the last, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to whatever they have next.
Number 3.
Fix my eyes on overthink, while beauty is a symptom of life. Gotta decide if I'm gonna see it now. Feast our eyes on overthink when suffering is craving the light. Gotta decide how we're gonna heal it.
Willow Smith might be the most versatile artist ever. This is the girl that did Whip My Hair. This is the girl that did pop punk stuff 2 years ago. And now this. How did we get here?
Pushing and peeling myself out of my disguise.
Like on a technical level too, I don't even understand how she can do this. This is one of the most technically impressive, beautifully written songs of the year. No question. This is a tough one for me to talk about because it's so out of my comfort zone. There's a lot of push and pull to it. There's a lot of dissonance. There's a lot of complicated twists and turns. This song is in a weird time signature. It's all over the place, frankly. But that's why I love the song. Its complexity works in its favor. It creates this almost out-of-body experience. The vocal performances, the harmonies, the layering, the arrangement of things, just like, you know? Oh my God. I have no notes, and I just hope that her family members one day could take a page out of her book and do something that good as well. I doubt it, but, you know, time will tell.
Trying to find out.
Number 2.
So for that last pick, the Willow song, I feel like I was a bit out of my comfort zone on that one. But for this number 2 pick, why not go right back into my comfort zone with a genre I've created called glitz pop. Ta-da! So if you've seen my list last year, you kind of know what this sort of music is like. It's mellow, velvety indie pop. It's sort of my favorite genre of music. You can drive to it, you can dance to it. It's very easygoing, and it also doesn't take itself too seriously. So yeah, this year, one of the things I did was I made a playlist of some of these songs just to, you know, have them in one spot. And wouldn't you know it, the very top of that list is perhaps the most glitz poppiest glitz pop song, my number 2 pick of the year.
It's okay with you. I think I'm gonna love you for a long time, baby. It's breaking news.
This is what I'm talking about, baby. It's glitz pop all the way. It's a super cute song. It's catchy. It's upbeat. It's happy. It makes you feel like you want to dance, but it's not angry if you don't. And this one comes from an artist called Flower of Love, who I forget how I found her, actually. It was either on TikTok or might have been Spotify recommendations. But the point is, I'm just happy that the gods have blessed me on this one. Thank you.
It's so unnatural, you got me wrapped up. Yeah, you got me hooked up. Yeah, you got me loved up.
An important thing to note with this one is that by no means does it reinvent the wheel. In fact, I think of all of the picks on this list, this might be the most derivative song there is. Every year there's 1 or 2 songs that sounds exactly like this, to the point where I'm like, are these made in a lab? Like, that's how perfect they are every single time. Yeah, like last year we had 50/50 with their song Cupid, which that is a K-pop song, but the vibe is exactly the same. It sounds so similar. I'm just gonna play both of them. Listen to this.
I'm feeling lonely. Can I take a big advantage of your honey? That's you crying in my room. Hi, hello. You've been running circles in my head. You know, you said we were gonna take it nice and slow.
I'm telling you, there's probably 100 songs like this. I'm sure you can think of some off the top of your head. But like, I want more of them. It might as well be one long song. I don't care. Give me an IV. Put it in my veins. Styles evolve and they develop over time, but for some reason I feel like no matter what age I am, I could be 5 years old or 5,000 years old, I think I would like this kind of music, no matter the situation. I think it's that good. So I'll leave it there. It's a wonderful song. I'm just excited for the next one from whoever that may be. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Nuts, how you're up in my thoughts. Sound like blah, 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 blah.
Before we get into our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
He's just a dog. He's just a dog.
At this point, I'm just waiting for these guys to miss. I don't know if it's possible, because like every single song of theirs just scratches my brain. Of all the comebacks to happen in 2024, this was one I was not expecting. This sort of 60s folk rock, Mamas and the Papas thing, it's super cool. I love it.
It's 3 a.m. spilling my phone like what up? Off of the wine, I'm cutting the line like shut up.
Speaking of throwbacks, this song fits so perfectly into 2000s R&B that frankly I'm shocked it came out this year. Yeah, he killed it.
Think I want to fill my way with anything that's sweet.
One of the coolest drops of the year, that bass line, the way that kicks in, ooh, oh, it's just so good.
Just say what you want, I can get you anything you need. 'Cause I don't mind spending a dime on a dime, girl.
This is Davey MH, a guy that I've had a bit of a back and forth with just through my radio stuff and whatnot. And yeah, I wanted to shout him out here. He's super underrated, less than 1,000 monthly listeners. Like, that's insane to me considering the quality of the music. So yeah, go check him out.
I'll bring you something home for Christmas if I'm back in time. Thought that make you laugh. She highly bad tonight.
Aside from David Bowie or maybe like a Tyler the Creator, I can't think of a single person that commits this hard to a character. Something about that plus the fact that he's an Irish rapper, like you don't see that every day. It's awesome.
Yeah, he knows that what he's going down. It's falling off the horse.
This is like if Old Arctic Monkeys and Tears for Fears did a collab, and I'm here for it. I didn't know I needed that crossover, but here we are. I used to be obsessed with Ross Lynch growing up. Now a lot of his songs I find are very unoriginal and uninspired, but this song brings me right back to those Austin and Alley days, so I can't complain. I think it's a fun throwback. It's something that people have been asking him to do for years, and frankly, I'm just glad we have it.
Oh, don't just dance around this subject.
Okay, I hear what you're saying in the comments, Nick. You shouldn't promote your stuff as a YouTuber. You shouldn't. I don't want to hear it, okay? Look, it's the first single I've put out in over 2 years. That's a long time. So I think one little promo here and there is not too bad. This is my new song, Perfect. Go check it out. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever released, and I'm just super proud of it. I think it's a fun song. So yeah, with that, I say we jump into our final pick of the list.
And number 1.
Wow, I can't believe we're almost done. Thanks for sticking around. This final segment is going to deal with a couple of serious topics. It'll weave into the song thematically, it'll make sense, but I'm just giving you that warning in case you don't want to hear it. So yeah, let's get into it. Part of growing up for me is realizing that we shouldn't put blind faith in celebrities to be good people. There have been tons of celebrities I've looked up to that for one reason or another have kind of let me down, and none really hit me as hard as Rex Orange County did a couple years ago. So for those who don't know, Rex Orange County is a British singer-songwriter, one of my favorites of all time. And in 2022, he was accused of sexual assault by a woman who claimed that over the course of 2 days, he had made repeated advances towards her. Now, I'm not here to analyze the case too much. I hope both parties get closure in that situation. But what I am here to say is that all of the charges in that year were dropped. So he's a free man, he's walking free. Basically what happened was there was CCTV footage that contradicted the accusations, and as well the woman's partner actually gave a testimony to police that also didn't support any of the allegations as well. So the court said, okay, there's not enough sufficient evidence to convict you of anything, you can walk free. And that seemed to be the end of it. There wasn't much of that afterwards. Rex Orange County actually took an entire year-long break from music, which I think was the healthy thing to do. And by that point, I wasn't really listening to his stuff anymore. I don't know, it just didn't hit the same. So then flash forward to 2024, and he puts out a new record called The Alexander Technique, and the record was pretty good. There's some decent songs on it, as you would expect from one of his things. But the big question on everybody's minds was, is he going to address this whole situation? And wouldn't you know it, the best song on this record, the best song, in my opinion, of his entire career, is exactly that. So, that's my number 1 song of the year.
Much too much, you can't keep up, it's too tough. Then I might move away, I'm making my mind up.
I wouldn't say it's the flashiest song of the year or the most technically impressive, but it is the one that stuck with me. This is a classic question when it comes to celebrities, right? Like, how do you come back from a career hit that monumental? Assuming he's innocent in this whole situation, like even still going away for an entire year and like all that negative press and the headlines and even just being in court like that could not have been easy. So yeah, I'm just impressed with both the manner and the poise in which he came back with.
Going outside, looking around, it ain't as safe as you pictured. Feeling the same old fears that never had a chance to begin with.
Now what's really powerful about this to me is that he's not explicitly referencing the situation here. Rather, I think he's more so talking about the time away afterwards and the feelings that that elicited. It's not really a song about a court case or a specific moment in time. Rather, it's a song about uncertainty, embracing imperfections, anxiety, things that he's been making songs about for years at this point, but I don't know, something about how personal this feels, it makes it way more universal. I feel like anybody can tap into this narrative.
I know when I can look at the sky I've painted. Is it alright that I've left spaces?
And it also helps that he's pouring his heart into it. This, to me, is his best vocal performance ever, some of his best writing ever, and one of his most interesting instrumentals. Like, let's look at the way this song builds. First of all, it starts with this really vulnerable, just stripped-back guitar loop.
Throwing your yelling that pain at the wall.
Just when the song feels super cold, this warm bossa nova groove starts to creep in.
Much too much, you can't keep up, it's too tough.
Then that groove builds into this Peter Gabriel-esque climax with flutes and drums and things like that. And finally, just when the song reaches its peak, it pulls back again.
Oh, you warming up, stayed inside with the fire on.
Everything about this, the structure, the instruments, the vocals, the lyrics, it's all cyclical in the way that negative experiences are. And I think with that time off, Rex Orange County realized that life is not without these negative experiences and overcoming these negative experiences. So yeah, for him to communicate that in such an effective and captivating and heartfelt way, like that, it's my song of the year. For that reason. That's it. Well, then, of course, there's Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan, but, you know, that doesn't count. So that's it for the list. Wow, thanks for sticking around. I know that was kind of a serious tone to end things off on, but that's the power of music for you. Music can do that. You know, serious songs can sometimes be the best. And I really do think it's a special one, so check it out. Also, let me know down below what are your favorite songs of 2024. Any questions, comments, concerns, things like that. I'm happy to hear it. And as always, yeah, thanks for watching.
Oh, don't just dance around this subject and how you could think that perfect is just one call away. You try my line, just not today, so